forward in an attempt to de-escalate the situation. That has not happened here. It looks like a pit maneuver is about to happen, and it is happening now. Mark Cotto and Sky 5, tell us what's happening.
Frank and Jess, yeah, here we go. Pit maneuver here. This is going to be on Slauson. Slauson, you saw him turn right on Slauson from northbound on Norwalk here. And so now they were authorized to pit this guy just moments before while they were northbound on Norwalk Boulevard here. And now they pitted the guy, and now at gunpoint they are ordering this guy to come out of the vehicle here. Now how this is going to play out, we will see over the course of the next several seconds here. But again, they just pitted the guy as he was completing a right-hand turn eastbound onto Slauson from Norwalk Boulevard here. Now, again, the officers are kind of backing off. They do have guns drawn, and it appears that I don't know if he's going to be pinned in on that driver's side here, because you can see the right front of that Winter Park Police Department cruiser is basically up against that driver door. So it may be a situation where he is not able to open the actual door to get out. So we'll see how they actually work this guy out of the vehicle like normally would. But again, there is a passenger, and that passenger might be ordered to exit the vehicle first, or maybe they're going to get him out of the window. But what they want to do is contain this situation with one suspect at a time. They want to see hands, and they want to contain this situation and control the situation as best they can. Now this is all happening eastbound, on the eastbound side of Slauson Avenue from Norwalk Boulevard, where this guy was just pitted a few minutes ago here. Now the passenger appears to be opening that door. So you see that that passenger door, and the passenger, arms up as ordered, is backing out of the vehicle here. And that is going to be the best possible scenario for that person here, given the fact that this pursuit was going on for so long, and producing so many dangerous situations here. So the passenger is now backing up towards the police officers, and now is going to be hands up, and the arrest team is going to be coming up to, I believe, her, and taking her into custody here. But the driver, we surmise, might end up coming out of that passenger door as well. But again, that passenger has been taken into custody. You see those Baldwin Park police officers kind of getting her hands behind her back, and now that is going to be half the situation diffused. And so now they have, again, to look forward to the driver coming out of that vehicle here, hopefully a situation where they can control and contain the situation as best they can without any harm to any of the public here. But again, that driver still in that vehicle. I don't know if he's actually refusing to come out at this point, or if they just...
him waving his arms, clearly talking to police, and as you said, Scott, they don't want to hear it right now. Get out of the vehicle and follow their commands. It's really, at that point, it's that simple.
It's very simple, and when you've got, half a dozen guns pointed at you, and you don't, follow their commands, I mean, it lets the officers know what they're dealing with. They're not dealing with someone who's, operating under their full capacity, because if you really want to live, and an officer, several of them with guns pointed at you, tell you to do something, you would think the right thing to do would be just obey their orders. So here they're moving in, so it looks like they're not too worried about what the individual's going to do. He's keeping his hands up. It seems like they feel free to move into the vehicle.
Well, there's the possibility they talked to his passenger, and if his passenger gave them some information as to, we don't have any weapons, there is that possibility that maybe that's why they're...
Now he's reaching somewhere, and they are right on him.
Boy, it's a frightening situation, isn't it, to look at this, because we do know that one wrong move, the officers get scared, they fear for their life, they're going to fire. I mean, it's an unfortunate dynamic of what happens in these types of situations. Right. It looks like everything is going as planned, but all it takes is, one really bad move on the part of the suspect, and the officers are in a real tough situation.
Okay, he's climbing over, arms out the window.
Yeah, looking good here as far as the posture of the suspect. We do understand he's a man. His hands are up. Probably be told to back up to officers, to turn around, excuse me, to put his hands up, and then to back up towards the patrol car. That's usually the procedure. Maybe pick up his shirt to make sure that he doesn't have a weapon inside his waistband there. But it looks like hands behind the head. Looks like a young adult male, and following the orders of the officers at this point. I'm pretty sure we're on Washington, just to the east side of Norwalk Boulevard. It's right on the border of Santa Fe Springs and Norwalk, if I'm not mistaken.
And he still seems to be talking to officers as he appears to be following their orders right now, but
I think what you said is perfect. He's still talking, and I think this is an example of what police are facing so many times where we don't see it. This person just is wanting to say something, and probably they not appreciating where the officers are coming from, as you can imagine. I mean, you can't know if this person is armed or not. They've already shown a willingness to put other people at risk with the kind of driving they've had. So it's frustrating, I'm sure, for a lot of people in that area as this kind of plays out, and they're just trying to go about their workday, but they can't because streets are closed.
And this is a tense moment right here. They're getting ready to put him into handcuffs, but he's got to do exactly what they say before they rush up on him. He looks like he's complying. Still talking.
And still talking.
Last bits of freedom. He wants to get out what he has to say, I guess.
Yeah, and it's interesting because usually you see a suspect that will obey a little bit quicker than this. This has taken some time, but it appears that everything has gone as planned as far as the operation of the police officer is concerned. You do a picture-perfect pit maneuver, you get the passenger out without incident, and now you get the suspect, the driver, out without incident, and that's certainly what everybody wanted. Pit maneuvers can be tricky because, you know, this was in an area where if that vehicle would have spun out, it could have went into oncoming traffic, but as I mentioned, the suspect slowed down to a rate that allowed them to do it. Buena Park Police did it what seemed to be perfectly, and now fortunately we have both suspects, or one suspect and the other individual, we're not certain, the woman that was the passenger, in custody at this point. And usually these things can wind down pretty quick when there's not another car involved. They can usually get that vehicle, the suspect vehicle, off to the shoulder and open up traffic so people can get through, and I'm certain they'll do that in this case as well. We don't think there was any accidents. Once again, if you're just joining us, this started in Buena Park as a stolen vehicle, that red Honda Civic. That now is the driver. He is in custody with Buena Park Police.
Eventually comes to his senses and does the right thing.
That's true. We definitely hope he calms down and that he decides to come to a stop once he realizes there's really nowhere to go.
And I think this is Vine, and it looks like that's exactly what's happening. He's pulling over, and this is the most dangerous portion, really, of this, because you have civilians in the area, CHP officers. We don't know what's going to happen with the suspect. They are in an overpass here, and it appears as if the passenger has alighted from the vehicle, and the driver is still in the vehicle. Ms. Fajardo, walk us through this felony stop. What happens next?
Definitely, they're just going to be giving commands to the parties in the vehicle, hopefully trying to get them to obey those commands to get on the road so that the officers can make a safe approach and take them into custody.
We saw one of your officers running with some sort of case. Do you have non-lethal weapons at the ready as well for this kind of situation?
Yes, generally we do.
Okay, so obviously now that it looks as though the driver is getting out of the vehicle, arms are in the air. I think the passenger is on the ground. They're having the driver back away from the vehicle to step aside from it, and they're getting
possible here, but you know, that one guy, well, let's see, it looks like he might be coming out of the vehicle here, and so that is certainly some good news there. The door is certainly open. It looks like we have arms out, arms up, and this is some good news here. This is the best possible scenario for this guy here, given the fact that he's been engaging with officers this whole time. But there he goes, arms up. He's backing up towards officers here, and it looks like he is about ready to give up at this point here. You know, given the cat and mouse nature of this pursuit, I'm sure officers are going to be using an abundance of caution here, given the fact that you know, he's been so hit and miss here. Is he going to make a run for the Honda and take off again? But now he's kind of prone down on the floor, right in that turn lane, and it looks like pursued here, a long game of cat and mouse with the LAPD and the CHP. But there you go, a team of officers kind of assembling here, and they will at some point make their approach to him and to the vehicle to clear the vehicle. Again, we don't know if there was anyone else in the vehicle here. To this point, we believe there was only the driver, but that was never confirmed. So hopefully that remains to be the case. But nevertheless, that will be something that the LAPD deals with at the point that they take the driver into custody. They will, again, clear the vehicle here. But the driver, again, proned out on Sherman Way, just a little bit west of Coldwater Canyon here, where he had a spike strip waiting for him. But there's a team of officers, at least, 5 officers right there, and they're going to make their approach to him, guns drawn, just in case. You know, remember, this guy was reported to have a weapon, a handgun at that point, and so, but it looks like, you know, they will be able to successfully take this guy into custody and in a peaceful manner here. A secondary team of officers you see at the back of the Honda Odyssey, and they are looking in the windows to make sure no one's there, looking for weapons, obviously, but at some point they will give the code 4 just to make sure that everyone is safe and everything is cleared from that vehicle here. But there's the driver in custody. Again, this is going to be on Sherman Way, eastbound, just before Coldwater Canyon, where traffic has come to a standstill as the police officers deal with this. But the best possible scenario here, again, the LAPD and the CHP doing a great job in keeping everyone safe. Not to mention the fact that these guys were very patient in their tactics and very skillful in conducting their operation here. But they have taken this guy into custody here. They have essentially cleared the vehicle, and over the course of the next several minutes, hopefully they will have this intersection cleared again. Sherman Way eastbound, right at Coldwater Canyon. Eric?
Can one of you guys help stay with him? Stay with him. Oh, hey, David.
Just blowing by the traffic on the freeway right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you think people are going 40, maybe 50 miles per hour on a freeway, and he's just whizzing past these cars. There is some traffic, though, and when that happens, usually we see the drivers during these pursuits, they become even riskier and take, moves that really put people's lives in danger.
He's using the shoulder there
in order to get around these slow-moving vehicles.
He's driving on the shoulder. Pretty soon, if the freeway is the way I think it is going to run out of room.
Yeah.
So coming up on the Manchester Avenue off-ramp there and just, you know, veering around traffic using the shoulder. And the vehicle looks like it is pretty heavily damaged there, at least on the front end. And now possibly getting off at the Manchester off-ramp off the 110 freeway.
We don't know a whole lot other than this.
Yeah, 5 is just going to maintain 900 here.
Okay, he's talking to air traffic control there. Other than the person was wanted for reckless driving, now we're seeing this individual get off this off-ramp, excuse me, and again stopped at, you know, a light behind some traffic.
We've seen one collision so far. We believe there have been others. Trying to go around traffic, driving up onto the dirt part there. Cutting off a car.
Off at Manchester, and it looks like he's going to go west on Manchester. Be crossing underneath the 110 freeway here shortly, guys. Crossing underneath the 110 freeway, westbound on Manchester. So we are in the heart of South LA, now westbound on the major street here, and you can see this person fully engaged and completely willing to engage with other vehicles, other commuters on the road here. He just crashed into a parked car a couple of minutes ago. He just collided with a vehicle on the off-ramp for northbound 110 here at Manchester. So there are this is just an exceedingly busy area
Almost
here. Now
ran down a
southbound on
pedestrian there.
Figueroa. Southbound on hang on here, guys. Southbound on Hoover. That's going to be Hoover. Hoover southbound from Manchester now is the direction of this guy. So he is basically making a circle along the 110 corridor, say between Slauson over on the north side and down towards Century on the south side here. But maybe an area of familiarity. We just don't know at this point. Now on the west side of the 110 freeway, southbound on Hoover, coming up towards Century Boulevard again. So let's see if he makes a turn towards us, and that is indeed what he is doing. Now he's making an eastbound turn on one of the numbered streets here, and he is heading over towards the 110 freeway once again here. So in South LA on the west side of the 110 freeway, now an eastbound turn. He's just now coming up on Figueroa here, guys. Coming up on Figueroa, a couple of vehicles, slower traffic in front of him, and it looks like he's going to try and get northbound Figueroa, and he'll be coming up on Manchester in a matter of just a couple of blocks here. He is being pursued by the LAPD here, at least 2 units that are about a block behind him. At any rate, there are at least 2 layers of police helicopter who are also following this guy very closely here. So again, northbound on Figueroa will be coming up on Manchester. Manchester in about a block or so, but you saw that. Wow, he just collided. Had a bad collision there. Looks like he took out that fence, and it looks like he still wants to make a go of it. I've got you there. He still wants to make a go of it here, but is he going to be disabled? We just don't know. We can tell you that a couple of those units have just caught up to him, and it looks like they are going to try and make the stop right here if the suspect indeed complies.
Trying to get down to the feeder road or trying to get down to a surface street. Doors open.
Here's the doors opening right now. The suspect then trying to...
Not getting out just yet, though. He's still going. This will be back into the neighborhood just at the I-45 and 610 interchange, and there he goes. There's an officer.
Oh. Well, we're not sure what's happening.
This may be a citizen that has helped him out. This may be a citizen.
Looks like it.
One person ran off to the right, Don. You see police officers giving chase on foot. One suspect is apprehended. There's now a foot chase going on for the second suspect. There he is running through that building.
That's a policeman.
That's a police officer.
That's a policeman.
In the back
They're looking for the second suspect.
We see some activity to the top of your screen there, Don. Go up a little bit. You see that person running right there?
There's the other suspect right there. White shirt,
hopping
jumping
a fence now.
Right now.
He's going to be running out of steam here pretty soon.
Running of what appears to be in someone's backyard there in this residential area.
Continuing cops are right behind him. They're about 2 houses away from him, but they've got him.
This appears to be some sort of...
Right between these houses.
Right.
This may be it.
There he is, right there.
No, that's a police officer, I believe, with guns drawn.
Okay. We're looking for that suspect in a white T-shirt. It appears to be a white T-shirt.
He's right in this area somewhere.
See more officers coming in on the scene. Of course, the HPD helicopter is over there as well, so they'll have that to help them find the suspect. Again, he's wearing a white T-shirt, appeared to be jeans.
There he is. There he is. He's behind the bushes.
He's behind the, okay.
There they've got it.
They've got it.
Apprehended. Now it appears both of those suspects now in custody.
Yes, I'm on him. It's at 3 o'clock.
The trees sort of blocking our view there, but you could see through the trees that at least 2 HPD officers now have this second suspect in custody. This was the passenger of the vehicle, the driver of the vehicle. As you mentioned, Don, it looked like a citizen jumped in to help police apprehend the driver of this chase vehicle. Officers getting there, getting that guy to the ground, the citizen moving off, and then the second person, the guy you see being arrested right here, jumped out, and then a small foot chase. It lasted only a couple of minutes before HPD officers able to finally get him in custody.
Yes.
The end of this chase.
That's how. And here is the Good Samaritan's car.
Go ahead.
That's the Good Samaritan standing there that nabbed the driver of the Mercedes and put him on the ground for the police.
And while you're watching this, let's get the folks in the control room possibly to back up the last few moments when that citizen came in so we can see that again. But let's continue to watch this live. That is the vehicle the police were chasing for about 15 to 20 minutes. Chase started right around 10:50, just before our newscast started. We started with this chase and have stayed on it the entire time. We're told that these 2 suspects are possibly bank robbery suspects, and that is why authorities were chasing them. This chase going up 45, making a U-turn, going back onto the north loop, headed westbound to make a U-turn eastbound, make another U-turn in some residential neighborhoods, finally getting back onto the north loop eastbound, and the driver exiting onto the median, trying to get into a residential street right where 45 and 610 split, 45 northbound, going north, obviously, and the 610 loop continuing east and westbound. And that is where his car came to a stop because of a Good Samaritan who it appears to us, jumped in to get the guy out. Here's the very end of the chase.
Here's that video right there where the Good Samaritan then tackles the driver to the ground, the suspect there. Tackles that and then he goes down to the ground after police comes, and you see the passenger then run off, and you see officers wearing bulletproof vests running behind that suspect, who then tries to make a run for it in that residential area there, and they finally catch him there, what appears to be behind a house. And here's that video again of that Good Samaritan stopping his silver car there.
And you see, very dangerous situation there. Police officers have their guns drawn. That officer right there getting that suspect dressed in red on the ground after that Good Samaritan refused to let that guy get away. And that's an officer running around behind that building as the suspect that was in the passenger seat had gotten out, bailed out, started to run. He was in a white shirt. He ran a couple of blocks but didn't get very far. Police right on top of him. There at that intersection, because that is where...
That is the second suspect, by the way.
There you go. There he is right there in the white T-shirt. That's the guy who was on the passenger side, who did manage to get a brief foot chase in after the car came to an end, but obviously he didn't get very far. HPD has him in custody, walking him back now.
You know, and in situations like this, Don, and you can attest to this, that you worry not only about the drivers, obviously, but especially when suspects are going at such high rate of speed, but you also worry about the police officers who are trying to apprehend, you know, a suspect who's on the run like this, and then a foot chase.
And you can also imagine the radio traffic between the officers because he made a couple of turns, and with this very powerful Mercedes got away from HPD for a short while. And I know that we did our best to try to help them nab the suspect and steer them in the right direction. They finally caught up to him thanks to the Fox helicopter, the HPD helicopter. And so we've got them all both in custody, and all is good. There's a City of Bel Air Police Department here as well. So as you can tell, lots of different agencies here on the scene joining in this chase, but we finally got them both into custody. I'm glad to report.
And Don, that may give us some indication as to where this chase started. They are putting him in the back of a City of Bel Air police cruiser at this moment. This is the passenger who gave a foot chase just after the car chase came to an end. So if Bel Air PD is putting him in the back of their cruiser, one might imagine that this chase started with a problem in Bel Air. And again, we do believe that these are bank robbery suspects. We're certainly checking that now in our newsroom to find out exactly where this started. But as you mentioned, those are Bel Air Police Department cars and Bel Air Police Department officers who are now handling. That is the second suspect, the one who's in the passenger seat, who bailed out after the car came to a stop.
And I would imagine that is the gentleman that you guys are speaking of that apparently was able to stop these guys and help officers apprehend these two two suspects, but we were being told by police to sort of take a step back because they are trying to block off a certain portion of this crime scene now. So we're trying to give you guys a close enough.
You have officers with their guns drawn, and now
What's
you
that guy
have
doing?
this is just this is incredible. Somebody now tackling this guy onto the hood of an LAPD patrol car.
Wow.
Officers with their guns drawn. Obviously, another unstable individual. I mean, this is just unbelievable. You have one unstable individual, now two people under arrest after a slow-speed pursuit, the likes of which we have not seen here, as far as I can remember. This is just totally bizarre. Now two people under arrest, one person doing everybody a favor by bringing this pursuit to an end, but not the way anybody
Are they
would
cuffing
anticipate,
that guy
and
as
certainly
well?
not the way LAPD would encourage for anybody to behave,
Boy,
especially in the
I
middle of
tell you.
Ventura Boulevard traffic. So now you have a little bit of a crowd forming. They're going to try and keep people on the sidewalk. But if you can roll, if we can, I don't know if we're able to roll that tape again. That was incredible to see another clearly unstable individual. Not sure if this is a homeless man, but he appears to be clearly under the influence of something as well. Walking in front of traffic, walking in front of this convertible. You saw the driver in the convertible put his hands up at that point as he was sitting in the driver's seat, and then almost as if that unstable individual in front of the car was making a citizen's arrest, he just tackled him onto the hood of the LAPD cruiser. And Chuck, Carolyn, I'm at a loss for words. This is
I haven't seen anything. I'm standing next to Fritz Coleman. I don't know how many of these we've watched, Fritz. I've never seen anything like this.
I mean, my pilot, Alex Krewall, and myself are both on the edge of hysterics here, cracking up. This is just incredible to watch, and you got to admit, I mean, it brings a smile to your face to see all of this, you know, commotion going on down there. But certainly police were faced with a decision there, and they had an opportunity to bring it to an end, and they did just that without anybody getting hurt.
Well, it's interesting that the citizen was cuffed. He is in that Ford, that vehicle, the black and white unit. They've taken him away. They've taken the other guy away. And then another officer got in the Mustang, which we're presuming it's a Mustang, and then drove it over to the side of the road there. Now we got all these people out.
Yeah, and more LAPD units arriving out here now. You now
We're
have a
gonna need
crowd building,
control.
and they don't want to see that either. You know, we've seen situations where, you know, a restless crowd could, you know, get out of hand, even though they're just kind of watching and taking pictures. The LAPD, I think, is going to try and clear Ventura Boulevard as soon as possible, get a tow truck out here to get this Mustang out of here, and hopefully business can resume as normal on a Friday night, or as normal as they can be on Ventura Boulevard.
Heck of a way to start the Memorial Day weekend, isn't it?
I tell you, this is a new one on me, Chuck. Again, you see more LAPD units arriving. The priority has to be, now there you see the other individual now with his hands cuffed behind his back, and he'll be taken into custody as well. And it'll be very interesting to see what charges he may possibly be faced with. I don't want to presume anything, but it's certainly...
Well, he could be charged with interfering. There's a charge with interfering with officers in a pursuit. Yep. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I know there is something when you interfere with law enforcement.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, he's definitely, you know, on one hand, yeah, he's definitely broken some rules here, but on the other hand, he's kind of the hero of the hour for saving us from a prolonged slow-speed chase that could have gone well into Burbank. I mean, yeah, this was just, it was just so unpredictable, not knowing what was going through that.
Steve Johnson told us at the desk here. Air 1 is on scene. You can just see he just hit that power pole at Walnut and Walker.
122nd Walker.
About 122nd.
I'm sorry, Walker and 122nd,
okay.
Jolene.
It looks like they've got their guns drawn there. The driver can't get out.
Yeah.
Someone's coming out of the back.
There he goes. Yeah, apparently there's at least one person in there. He just came out of the back.
So officers surrounding that vehicle. One person out. Okay, looks like they're dragging him out right now. Officers with their guns drawn.
Yeah, he was on his phone.
On his cell phone.
Yeah, obviously he came out of there with his hands up.
Uh-huh.
And then pulled the second hand down, and he was still talking on his cell phone here. So they're about to get him into custody. Then they'll be able to see if there really is only one person in the car, Jolene.
And it doesn't look like he is helping them out at all. Okay, he's out of the vehicle
no,
now,
he's not.
on the ground.
Yep, and you know, one thing we're curious to see now is there going to be some power issues associated with knocking this power pole down. Thankfully, it didn't come down on the police officers there, but obviously there's going to be a little bit of a cleanup here.
Well, it's definitely not stable right now, and it looks like they are hitting the windows there to see if there's anyone else inside the vehicle and what's going on in there, as they have the suspect on the ground. Again, this is 122nd and Walker, where a chase just wrapped up after the driver of that SUV hit a power pole, lost control while trying to make the turn there, and then crawls out of the passenger back window with his hands up. And John, you said he was on his cell phone, and then really didn't help officers out by climbing out, so they dragged him out. Do they have him in?
Yeah, that's right. You know, obviously in an accident like this, you expect to see some damage, you know, to the individual. Maybe he's injured. He just hit that telephone pole head or that power pole head on, knocked it clean, and then gets out of the back, you know. So
but still with the
obviously
cell phone to his
probably
ear.
wasn't wearing a seatbelt, and really kind of has no disregard for the police officers giving his commands. Come out of the car. He's still on his cell phone talking. So
Sure.
a crazy situation here. Luckily, nobody was injured.
And that's the good news here, because he blew through several intersections, running red lights, and they were weaving in and out of traffic, going about 80 miles per hour on city streets. And it looks like they've got him in handcuffs at the back of one of those patrol cars there. Again, this is near Northwest 122nd and Walker. Suspect now in custody, and they are placing him in the back of one of those police units. And we know they were looking inside of that SUV to see if there was anyone else inside, a passenger, or if that driver was by himself. It appears it was just the driver, who is now in the back of one of those police units.
Yeah, that's kind of what it looks like, Jolene. Obviously, they've been able to break the front windscreen or the windshield out. It doesn't appear there's anybody else in the car.
Good news here, nobody hurt. We're not sure about the driver, but obviously not hurt too badly, as he climbed out of the back of that vehicle on his cell phone, and now in custody in the back of the police unit there. And it didn't look like he hit any other vehicles. I don't know at what point you got in on this chase, but from what we could see, it didn't look like there was anyone hurt. He didn't clip any vehicles while weaving in and out of traffic. And it looks like he is now...
Yeah, Jolene, we didn't see. We picked him up, like I said, at about...
And it looks like we are... John, how's traffic right now?
Yeah, really, it's flowing pretty decently. It's funny you say that. Air One, I guess the police officer just asked them how traffic looked, and it's actually going pretty decent here. The westbound lanes are obviously closed down, but as far as eastbound lanes, there's still one lane. The far north lane is still open.
You know, and this is in the afternoon now, so there are a lot of people out and about. As we saw some of that traffic, the driver weaving in and out somehow did not clip or hit any other vehicles, especially while going through some of those red lights that he went through, and then trying to make this turn here near Northwest 122nd and Walker. But that suspect now in custody. I believe we have a crew on the ground. Lauren Fultonberg is pretty close to the scene, and we'll be able to speak with him as soon as he gets there, John. But again, traffic looks like, well, I see an ambulance on scene. What is that suspect in the police car, or is he now in the back of the ambulance to be checked out? Looks like someone is...
I think he's still in the back of the police car, but I think they're probably gonna check him out. We've heard, and obviously this is not confirmed, but just radio traffic, that this might be a potential homicide suspect. So that might be the reason for him eluding police and starting this chase here. Obviously, as you can see, the ambulance just arrived on scene. At this time, I don't believe he's in the back there. We still think he's in the back of one here. mentioned that they might shut down traffic here, that they are going to shut down traffic, and it appears that they did at this time. Now they're just bringing everybody around through this neighborhood here on the south side of 122nd as they clean this investigation up.
Detouring traffic there. John Welsh and Bob Moore, Chomper 4. At the end of a chase near Northwest 122nd and Walker. We do have a ground crew that is arriving there shortly, and we'll have more information coming up at 4 o'clock. For now, we're going to send you back to programming.
In September 2016 near downtown LA. Little is known about the perpetrator, but chances are the shiny black SUV he's driving has been stolen. At this point, many officers are in pursuit of the vehicle and have successfully blocked several points of an intersection. It is very likely that the driver was intoxicated or somehow inebriated during the time of the chase because he quickly panics while turning left through an intersection. He immediately slams the SUV into a metal pole and drags it a few feet. The SUV begins to emit smoke, and a small fire can be seen emanating from under the hood of the car. The driver attempts to back up, but cannot dislodge the vehicle from the street sign. Seconds later, the driver flees the vehicle, frantically running across the street. It is unclear whether the police threatened to shoot him, or if the man's intoxication causes him to fall, but nonetheless he flails to the ground and is quickly apprehended. Both state and local police were quickly informed and followed the red SUV in a hot pursuit. Thinking it would be easier to lose the police by getting off the highway, the driver and his accomplice exit the highway in the Redford area. They continue to flee for several minutes until they accidentally collide with a Coca-Cola delivery truck. Both men leapt out of the vehicle and began to run on foot. The accomplice is quickly apprehended off camera, but the driver manages to run off the road and through a residential neighborhood. Unfortunately for him, a police chopper has been waiting from the air the entire time. They easily follow his every move as he leaps over fences and weaves his way through several backyards. After a few minutes, the criminal makes an ingenious decision to hide under a trampoline. The chopper quickly radios to officers on foot, and the young man is quickly captured. Several commentators have
making a
and there it is, DPS right there, baby. DPS. So you got a weapon. Keep it left side a little bit. Left.
550.
Sounds like they just performed a hit at Dove Valley, east of 17.
Multiple units, 550.
All right, folks. Finally has come to an end here.
Firebird DPS.
This was the only way they were going to get this guy to stop. Here comes a dog.
Firebird, I copy. You got him at Dove Valley, 1340.
Hey, 15, I got you.
Copy.
All right, now they think he has a weapon, folks.
Ten to Central. Good day.
510, good day, 1348.
5 same traffic.
51510 1348.
Okay, they're getting ready to let the dog go. They've got their shields. Let's see what happens here. There goes the dog.
527.
Dove Valley and North Valley Parkway. Come on, get him, Fido. See if he's still responsive.
Okay, now we have flames coming out of what appears to be the yellow Corvette. So here are some live images from the ground right there. Our crews are tracking what's happening from the air and on the ground, and you can see flames coming from what appears to be the engine right there.
Yeah, you can see obviously the suspect has been removed from the vehicle. Nobody is in that car anymore, and that car is on fire, and they're just standing back, and it's a tight shot. We don't see any fire units in the scene, but I imagine they'll want to put this out pretty quickly. Here we go. Okay, looks like they're bringing some hoses up to put out the fire. That is the yellow Corvette that led police on a chase lasting, gosh, close to half an hour. In far north Phoenix.
There's a fire, some responders there, so it appears they are there to help out in this situation. But again, unknown who the suspect is and why they were following him in the first place.
Okay, go the other way. Go the other way. He's dead in the street.
Vehicles that did have their lights on, and so it does appear at this point that that was most likely a law enforcement officer who was inside that SUV.
All right, excuse me, Charlie. We just have this new information in right now. Police are now saying, you know, we pulled back from that scene for a reason. There was an officer-involved shooting. Police shot the suspect in that car. The body is covered. We can see that from Sky 12 overhead. So it appears chases ended with that yellow Corvette in flames. The suspect shot dead by police at the scene. Chase over. Suspect dead. And as we said earlier, it appears, fortunately, no other people were harmed during this roughly 30-minute long chase.
Thank goodness. A lot of close calls.
Copy. Whew. Holy cow.
outside the vehicle, hands up, and they want them to usually throw the keys out as well, and it looks like this driver appears to be surrendering. There's a number of reasons why he may have done it right where he did it, one being perhaps running out of gas, two being perhaps I don't know if they've been able to negotiate with this person on the phone, but ultimately it looks like, don't know if there's another person in the vehicle. We just know of the driver at this point. But if this person is in fact giving up, there's a specific number of instructions that these officers give them to protect themselves from any potential harm that this person might be willing to do to them, given the erratic nature of the situation. And right now it appears that they're following those instructions.
Right. Again, they're telling them to move slowly, keep their hands up where they can see them. They will likely have this person with their hands up walk about 10 to 15 feet away from the vehicle and face away from them. So be facing continually northbound on the 67, hands up, and then get on their knees and lie flat on the pavement there, where they are unable to reach for any type of weapon or be a threat to those officers. At that point, when the police feel like it is safe, they will approach that driver and hopefully cuff them without any type of further incident. I am noticing, Andrew, if you look at that first cop car there in the front row on the left, you see the canine that is out. We've seen a couple different chases also recently up in Los Angeles where they did send that canine to get the driver because the driver wasn't complying and they felt like their safety was at risk. And let me tell you, you get that canine unleashed on you and you're not going anywhere.
No, it's worth noting this is live, so there's a lot of different situations that could play out, so we're just kind of keeping an eye from a distance here with Skyfox above and hoping that this goes as police plan, which is to get this driver with their hands up and to surrender safely. And it appears that they're out of the car. It looks like they have their hands up. You never know, though. I mean, if they go to reach for something, you know, cops have to protect themselves, and that can end in a way that we don't want to see. But it looks like this guy does have his hands up and is backing up. Hands are on the top of the trunk right there. And hands are now, it looks like, okay, now he's lying down on the ground. Kind of surprising to see him how close he is to the vehicle, because like you said, Jen, often they get him away from the vehicle, but that guy is doing what they're asking, which is lying on the ground, hands behind his head. And now officers will slowly approach as they are. Look how many there are. There's at least a dozen of them swarming in. Now their job's not over, because now they have to look in the vehicle. They have to make sure there's no other people, no other potential threats, maybe look for evidence. They have to open the trunk. They have to go through a number of steps now to make sure that this threat is in fact over, because it's a situation where they have a lot of unknowns. And now that process begins as they take this driver into custody.
Looks like he was the only person in the vehicle. I'm not seeing anybody else get out of the car, and here they are, again, taking that person in custody. It is a man. Right? It looks like that is a guy, yes. It looks like he's wearing a suit, actually. They're walking him back. He is in handcuffs. They will put him in the car there. You see there's a couple canine units. Notice the top of the SUVs there indicating that those were canine units. I also saw a couple undercover.
We have the subject,
Okay, we're stopping.
We are just a few minutes away from opening up the road to a brand new highway, flying things out of
Okay, stop.
Call 911, Chris.
Okay, we're stopping.
We are just a few minutes away from opening up the road to a brand new highway, flying things out of
Okay, stop.
Call 911, Chris.
The car just stopped.
Well, he was under power there. He may have just stopped. Now they got 3 police cars around him right now.
There's
There's the end of
someone.
the pursuit.
Do you see
Got
the
a
hands?
citizen in the way here.
Passenger side, hands up.
And
Door
right
open.
now they're giving him orders, telling him to come out of that car, put his hands out of the window, throw the keys outside to make sure that car doesn't move. And as you can see, they've set up pretty much behind him. Other units are probably clearing off to the left side of the screen here, clearing people away just in case there's any shots fired. Again, they're looking at a robbery suspect. We believe this car was taken in a carjacking.
It looks like those were the keys that came out of the window, Jim. I saw
the
something
keys
being
out.
thrown out.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just threw the keys out of the car. 2 sets of hands out the windows here. This is on Maubert and Vermont, we're understanding.
Robert and Vermont, you said?
It looks like Maubert, M-A-U-B-E-R-T.
Okay.
Right now you can see they're pretty much trying to communicate with him. One of the reasons they have him throw the keys out is, of course, to immobilize the car, but also to gain compliance. Once they get a sequence of compliance from a suspect, then they can anticipate that he's going to follow through, which is why they give them commands, and they'll usually follow those commands with a "do it now," and they try to get him on that path, if you will, so they can detect very quickly if he starts to differ or resist.
They're trying to see what they're dealing with here. So it does look like there's more than just the driver in that car. At least one other person, at least.
Okay, here's someone coming out right now.
Okay, there's the driver.
What's so scary is to see this person not only just weaving through the freeway, also the surface streets, but to go on the sidewalk. You don't often see that.
Yeah, it does look like he is complying. He's slowly coming out of that car, which is what officers want. Very slow and controlled movement on the part of that suspect.
Okay.
And again, they're going to stay at a position of cover behind their vehicles because, once again, we do have information, or at least we believe that this is a robbery suspect.
Okay.
We had heard that this was a carjacking at a gas station down in the south part of Los Angeles, and it's very possible that because they were going for gas, he did run out of gas.
Maybe.
Okay.
We'll see.
True. You're right. Okay, so the person's getting out. Now we'll see them eventually get out. They'll get them down, face down, correct?
Whoa, he's getting back. He's getting back in the car.
Oh, dear.
Okay, so here he is now, not following commands. Remember what I said before.
Right.
Now
Yes.
he's not complying, so now he's beginning to resist here at this point.
Right.
But he doesn't have the keys, so he's just going to
That's
barricade
right. He
himself.
threw the key out
threw
of the window.
out.
People usually aren't thinking clearly.
Well, you can't assume for sure that those were the car keys. Again, police
That's
officers are saying
true.
now, were those the car keys or
Could
were
have
those
been
another set of keys?
Any set of keys. You're right.
And now he's back in that car. There's a possibility he could start it back
Now
up.
the
The
passenger. Oh,
Okay.
okay. The passenger's out with his hands up. Backing up. That's what they're told to do.
And
Exactly.
then get on the ground, legs apart.
Are we for sure that there were 2 people in the car?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, this is a totally different individual here.
Okay, so this is the
seat.
passenger.
Okay, so there you go. Down on your knees. Having trouble doing that.
This guy's complying. The driver has other plans. Let's see what
If
they
you
are.
notice above this individual's left hand, it looks like that's where the keys landed, right there, just above the passenger's left hand.
Yeah. Oh, do you think he's trying to
Now,
grab
the interesting part of this...
he's grabbing the
Grabbing
keys.
the
What is
keys.
he doing?
No.
Shouldn't he be down on the ground, Jim?
Yes,
What's
he's,
going
he's,
on?
he's definitely not.
This
He's
is
not
not
complying
good.
at this point.
Okay, no, they got him. They got him.
Oh.
He's not
Okay.
moving well, though. There's something
he's
off.
Something's
back.
off.
Something's off. Because usually they would go up to him and get him up. So he
That
was
was a little bit-
herky
that
jerky
was
and
scary.
moving.
Okay.
I don't know what was going on there.
So the driver's still in the car. And
Now
as
they're
far
going
as we...
to try and get that driver
Right.
to come out of that car. But
Who
this
knows,
is not
maybe
really
there's someone
police
else in
work
the car.
101. You normally would have that second suspect come back. You wouldn't want to have him lay down in front where they'd have to go out and arrest him. They did finally have him come back, but why he laid down in the front is kind of odd.
Oh,
to me.
okay. So they would want him to walk back into him, which is what he eventually did?
Exactly. They wouldn't want him to lay down because then they would have to approach him if they have to handcuff him, putting him in danger of the driver who got back in the car.
And you don't know if he's armed, and you kind of tend to assume a carjacking, more often than not, there is typically some type of weapon involved to be able to get the car.
Now, it appears that the officer on the right side of the screen here is communicating with him, giving him hand motions, talking to him, trying to get the driver to come back out. The passenger door is still open, and there's a possibility he may slide over, but we see some kind of movement inside the driver's side of that car, so it's unclear exactly what he's doing.
Okay, so if you're just joining us, just to recap, this chase ended at the intersection of Malbert at Vermont. It started down in the Harbor District. We're told this car was carjacked from someone who was filling up at a gas station. There, we believe to be at least 2 people. We don't know if there are more in this car.
Doors open.
Oh,
there it is.
Go. So the passenger is in custody right now in the back seat of the police car, and the driver was out of the car for a moment, went back in,
Getting back out.
dumping
Now it
some
appears he's
things
getting
out,
back out.
picking them up.
What is
This
he?
is probably not what police want him to be doing right now.
Why is okay?
Jim,
Unless he's completely impaired, this person is definitely...
he's rolling.
Yeah.
That's odd. Haven't seen
Stopped,
that.
He dropped and he rolled.
Okay.
Different.
Yeah. Yeah, right now they probably are thinking they've got someone who might be a little altered at this point, which doesn't make him any less dangerous, by the way.
No, well, I mean, the way they were driving all crazy across the streets and on the sidewalks, my goodness.
They were, and oh my goodness. Just luckily no one was hurt.
Yeah, their immediate action plan right now is to take him into custody, clear that car as quickly as they can so that he doesn't get back in that car and prolong this.
Right.
You can see him right now amassing there behind an arrest team amassing behind the car on the left side of the screen, and they're probably going to move right out.
He's
and
definitely outnumbered here.
Yeah. More officers are coming in from behind.
Here we go. Moving in.
Okay, they're moving in.
They're making sure there's no one else in that car.
And making sure there was no one that could be in the trunk. Anyone, you know, was taken for this joyride, if this is what this all was taken.
Yeah.
And one officer with an urban police rifle, which is definitely enough in case something happens at this scene.
Okay, so it looks like he's getting handcuffed. Right, it looks like he's slowing down here on the shoulder. We'll watch here to see what's going to happen, and presumably all these police officers are going to sort of create a horseshoe around him, or at least come up behind him. They are obviously now out of their vehicles using that front door as a shield, and now they will start talking to the driver as we see that driver has pulled over and is now starting to get out of the car.
So what they do is they instruct him pretty clearly here on what to do. They say if you're going to give up here, you have to put your hands outside the vehicle, hands up, and they want them to usually throw the keys out as well, and it looks like this driver appears to be surrendering. There's a number of reasons why he may have done it right where he did it, one being perhaps running out of gas, 2 being perhaps he, I don't know if they've been able to negotiate with this person on the phone, but ultimately it looks like, don't know if there's another person in the vehicle. We just know of the driver at this point. But if this person is in fact giving up, there's a specific number of instructions that these officers give them to protect themselves from any potential harm that this person might be willing to do to them, given the erratic nature of the situation. And right now it appears that they're following those instructions.
Right, again, they're telling them to move slowly, keep their hands up where they can see them. They will likely have this person with their hands up walk about 10 to 15 feet away from the vehicle and face away from them. So be facing continually northbound on the 67, hands up, and then get on their knees and lie flat on the pavement there, where they are unable to reach for any type of weapon or be a threat to those officers. At that point, when the police feel like it is safe, they will approach that driver and hopefully cuff them without any type of further incident. I am noticing, Andrew, if you look at that first cop car there in the front row on the left, you see the canine that is out. We've seen a couple different chases also recently up in Los Angeles where they did send that canine to get the driver because the driver wasn't complying and they felt like their safety was at risk, and
let me tell you, you get that canine unleashed on you, and you're not going anywhere.
No, it's worth noting we are. This is live, so there's a lot of different situations that could play out. So we're just kind of keeping an eye from a distance here with Skyfox above, and hoping that this goes as police plan, which is to get this driver with their hands up and to surrender safely. And it appears that they're out of the car. It looks like they have their hands up. You never know, though. I mean, if they go to reach for something, you know, cops have to protect themselves. And that can end in a way that we don't want to see. But it looks like this guy does have his hands up and is backing up. Hands are on the top of the trunk right there. And hands are now, it looks like, okay, now he's lying down on the ground. Kind of surprising to see him how close he is to the vehicle, because like you said, Jen, often they get him away from the vehicle. But that guy is doing what they're asking, which is lying on the ground, hands behind his head. And now officers will slowly approach. As they are, look how many there are. There's at least a dozen of them swarming in. Now their job's not over, because now they have to look in the vehicle. They have to make sure there's no other people, no other potential threats. Maybe look for evidence. They have to open the trunk. They have to go through a number of steps now to make sure that this threat is in fact over, because it's a situation where they have a lot of unknowns, and now that process begins as they take this driver into custody.
Looks like he was the only person in the vehicle. I'm not seeing anybody else get out of the car, and here they are, again, taking that person in custody. It is a man. I am right? It looks like that is a guy, yes. It looks like he's wearing a suit, actually. They're walking him back. He is in handcuffs. They will put him in the car there. You see there's a couple canine units. Notice the top of the SUVs there indicating that those were canine units. I also saw a couple undercover.
Get out of the fucking car! Get out of the fucking car! Crawl out of the fucking door! Here, I got it. Hold on. Stop. I got it. Don't turn that off. Turn that siren off. And make sure they're okay in that truck. Keep your hands out, dude. Keep your hands out. What? Get it over there. Punch up, Brad. Let's ride, Fred. All right. Get out of the car. Face down. Face down. Get your hands behind your back. Put your hands behind your back, dude. Watch the blood. Yeah, you're bleeding? Yeah. What? The glass. I got it all over. We got a squad coming? Yeah. Checking for guns. You got any weapons on you, dude? No. Why are you running? and another one took off over by Geppetto's on
with
foot.
him? He was with him?
On foot, yeah, passenger.
All right, tell the detectives.
They give it up to police that have to deal with these dangerous situations
I know,
every day.
all the time. And, you know, we just show a little small fraction of what is happening. It looks like he is
Yelling.
Yelling back to the police. Wow. Yeah. Once again, props to the police. You know, we just showcase a fraction of what they have to deal with,
Yeah.
you know?
Oh, yeah. So, and again, you never know how these things end, and, you know, on the end of police having to chase them and then draw their guns because they don't know, is this guy under the influence? Does he have a weapon?
Yeah,
so it's dangerous.
Yeah, I mean, he still could have a weapon, and he could just reach in there and really start some commotion there.
Appreciate you guys watching with us live here on Fox News Now, as well as Fox 10 Phoenix Facebook page. I'm your host, Mary Kay Gaffney, and my co-host, Mike Page. Are we streaming on Facebook, or are we just streaming
we are.
on YouTube as well?
We are with Facebook as well, Fox 10 Phoenix, Facebook Live as well.
Again, wow, they also have their guns drawn. What do you think is going to happen, Mike?
Well, I'm hoping that it's going to end very peacefully. I hope that he's just going to get out of the car, take a couple steps backwards, and get to the ground so police can handcuff this individual. Here we go. Very tense situation still.
Getting out of the vehicle.
Now they're going to ask him to go backwards a couple steps and then get on the ground with his legs crossed.
So let's see. Can you imagine if you were in that neighborhood right now, looking out your window, seeing this all happen just right outside?
Yep. There we go. And he's going to lay. So he is right now following the officer's commands. And they're quickly going to get to the suspect. They also want to check the car to make sure that there's nobody in the car as well.
I wonder if these are, I mean, again, was the police station you covered earlier today in Los Angeles as well?
Yeah.
I'm wondering if these are the same officers. Like, wow, let's hit it again, boys. Let's get out there.
Yeah.
You know, they deal with this all the time in LA. And
Sure
there's
do.
a protocol that, you know, they have to follow. You know, they draw their weapons because they don't know who's getting out of the car. But it looks like this guy's cooperating with police, so that's good.
Yeah, and we're hearing from local media reports there that the suspect is wanted for a prior shooting that happened earlier today.
Wow. So again, you guys, if you heard that, suspect wanted for a prior shooting that happened earlier today. That's the driver you're seeing there laying on the ground in the white t-shirt and jeans. Police still have their guns drawn behind their doors right now, giving him orders of what to do next.
Just another, I mean, those speeds were getting a little out of hand, especially when he veered off from the highway. Look at this whole street is now blocked, and look at that car there. We're hoping that they're going to have to do a rescue mission right now to get this driver out.
Oh wow, was there a driver? There was a driver in that car. I thought it was just parked on the side of the street.
Yeah, look, you can tell the way that they are frantically trying to get in.
Wow.
That's scary right there. Hopefully that driver is okay. Ouch, oh my.
Wow, I thought that car was just parked on the side of the street. I didn't see that there was someone actually in that vehicle.
I know, it was happening so fast, and we were just mentioning this earlier. You know, the suspect was putting so many lives at risk, and here's the reason that we were all worried about that this would happen, because those high rate of speeds in that neighborhood was just too much.
He was going so fast, Mike, I couldn't believe it. And seeing him go through those intersections, he hit two cars, right? We saw two? Yeah.
And look how great that the police are. One moment they are in a pursuit, and now they are in a rescue mission. Here we're taking you to the live takedown of this suspect. They do have that suspect now apprehended. Once again, local media reports they're saying the suspect was wanted for a prior shooting earlier today. So wow, just a stressful situation. Now let's get the camera now back on those cars there that were damaged, and hopefully the people in the car are okay.
Wow, yeah. Look at that. Does it look like they got him out yet, or they're still
No,
trying there? And they're trying to get the car.
I think they need to flip it first.
Yeah.
They want to flip it, but oh wow. So I was just saying, you know, one moment these police are in a pursuit. Now they're in a rescue mission.
Yeah.
That just shows you, everyone. For everyone watching, we don't get to thank law enforcement enough, because what they have to put up with, what they have to do, and look at, they're going to flip it here right here.
Look at this.
This is amazing.
You guys
here
are
we
all
go.
watching this live right now on the Fox News Now stream out of Los Angeles, California.
Yeah, where this is now turned into a rescue mission. We had a police chase, now a rescue mission where the suspect slammed into a car and then proceeded to go a little more. This really shows you.
Look how many men are doing this right now. You got to give it up to these guys.
Yeah, this just shows you how powerful.
Wow.
Look at that. Hopefully
wow.
that driver's going to be okay. Wow.
Came out of nowhere.
Yeah, pretty banged up, really bad. Obviously disoriented, obviously very scared, shocked. I mean, you just got slammed, probably going about 50 to 60 miles per hour there.
Right.
Ouch. Wow. Well,
oh my gosh.
The boys in blue, once again, helping out community members there.
That car hit too.
Wow.
And let's
This is, again, is an uncertain situation because we don't know when these vehicles, and that's going to end it right there. Now we're going to see what happens with this driver, what he decides to do. Police will try to close in quickly. They will have guns drawn because they don't know what they're going to encounter once the person inside that vehicle tries to get out, if they're able to get out. And again, keep in mind the person who hit them, they could be injured as well. So again, this is not the way they wanted this to end. But we understand that this is happening right around Aldine Mail Route, just off of Highway 59. This man has been leading police on this pursuit for about an hour now. Again, police trying to close in, surrounding this vehicle, deciding what they're going to do next. We'll see if the man is capable of getting out of the vehicle or if he makes that decision to get out. They'll try to see what they can do to take a look inside this vehicle to see how many people are in there. They'll be barking commands. They'll want him to get out. Many times they'll ask him if he can walk. They'll ask him to turn around, walk backwards towards them. Then they'll ask him to get on the ground, and then they'll make the arrest that way. But you see several vehicles have been involved in this crash at this point. We understand there were some children apparently in the vehicle that hit this black pickup truck. We're hoping that they're all right. Police will try to do whatever they can to get them attention immediately and try to get emergency personnel on the scene to treat those people. Hopefully it's nothing serious. But again, that's what happens when you're blowing through these intersections, trying to elude police. No one can see what you're trying to do, and certainly don't expect this to happen in the middle of the day. They're just obeying traffic laws, following the traffic signals, and that's how that truck was T-boned and how this chase came to a conclusion. But again, it's still not over because we have to see how this is going to end with police. Again, they'll be barking commands. You see on the top right of your screen, they also have a dog. Sometimes they will send in that dog if the suspect refuses to cooperate. We'll see if he's physically able to get out. But we do know that that crash happened on the passenger side of the vehicle, so he didn't receive the full brunt of the impact, but he did also roll into that other black truck that's currently on the scene. And you see how cautious police are, because again, this guy's been leading them on a chase for a good hour now. He refused to stop. They don't know why. They may have some suspicions as to why. They may believe he was armed because the way he was acting, the way he was refusing to stop. And now this right here again is the dangerous part of how this could all play out. All we can do at this point is just sit back and watch. You would think that at this point they do have some type of communication with the person if he is conscious. But again, they are being extraordinarily cautious at this point. Officers with guns drawn. Again, take a look at the top right of your screen. That's the police canine who's on the scene. Dogs can be very effective in a situation like this and also very persuasive because most people don't like to encounter a growling, snarling, aggressive German Shepherd, sometimes a Belgian Malinois, which is what HPD uses as well. Under these circumstances, any confrontation, any kind of standoff here gets really complicated, especially if bullets start to fly. People can certainly get hurt. People can get killed, especially innocent people. And this intersection has been completely shut down at this point. Again, the suspect at this point shows no signs of trying to leave that vehicle. And officers have withdrawn and have pulled back. Several ambulances have also been called at this point to treat others who may have been injured on the scene because of this crash. We know there was one vehicle that T-boned this truck. That was a head-on collision. So we're not sure what damage, what type of injury that collision caused. We're certainly hoping and praying for the best. We do understand that a couple of children may have been taken from that vehicle that hit this truck. But again, it's still unclear. They have support people behind them, and again, the dog there now on the top left with the canine officer. So you can see the impact was definitely enough to inflate and then deflate those airbags. Those are the side airbags. They now have one person out. We'll see if that's the only person who's in there. He's now on the ground. He'll be handcuffed and taken away. So this is the conclusion of this chase that was happening for about an hour here in the northeast part of town. Again, we know at this point that he will be facing felony evading arrest charges, but it's unclear exactly what else and why they were pursuing him to begin with. But there is no escape at this point. This one has come to the conclusion. Now our focus will certainly be on the people who may have been injured in this crash, people who were inadvertently brought into this scene, just trying to go along with their normal day, picking up kids from schools, running errands, whatever it may be. They ran into this chase vehicle, that black Chevy pickup truck. Again, the suspect riding on the rims, desperate apparently to get away, but not in this case because he involved somebody else. And again, you see the conclusion over on the left-hand side of your screen. That's the small box over there. And again, if someone is hurt or killed during this pursuit, this price is really going to go up, possibly aggravated assault with a deadly weapon or vehicular homicide. We never know. Certainly praying for the best with those people. This next we'll move to the investigation mode. As you see, they're ready to take that suspect away. We'll take a look at where the most serious crimes took place, and the lead agency will then take the lead in that. Officers, the victims, the witness will all have to be interviewed. Was police procedure followed? Was all of this necessary? Thankfully, no bullets have to be accounted for here. No shots were fired. And again, it appears that there was only one person in that vehicle. He's the one who's in custody there, it appears. But you've seen the dramatic conclusion there to this police pursuit. Started again about an hour ago. It ended in a crash in the middle of an intersection there on the northwest side of town. Officers had their guns drawn. They were able to haul that suspect out of the vehicle. Now they'll take him back downtown where he will be booked. We're going to be working in the meantime to find out just exactly why he was running, try to talk to some people who were there involved in that pursuit. We'll also continue to try to find out exactly what happened to the person in that vehicle right in the middle of your screen there, just below that traffic signal, because that's the one that T-boned that truck as that truck was illegally going through the intersection. That car, that silver car in the middle of your screen where we're zooming in, is the one that had the right-of-way going through that intersection. We believe at this point there may have been children in that vehicle. We understand that police and emergency personnel were taking them out of that vehicle and escorting them away as we zoom in. But again, it is unclear on their condition. But you see the extent of the damage on the front of that vehicle that T-boned the black truck as it made its way through that intersection. See, police will be wrapping this up. And again, this is going into the investigative phase, trying to find out exactly what happened and what they may be able to do differently next time to avoid this type of ending. We're understanding several ambulances have been called to the scene. We know that at least one innocent bystander was involved. We also believe that perhaps another truck that was hit during the spin out may have also been involved. We don't know their condition. We're still trying to find that out. But again, you see how many police vehicles are currently on the scene. So again, this is the conclusion of a police chase that was taking place in the northeast part of town, northeast Houston. One suspect has been taken into custody. He certainly will be facing evading arrest charges and who knows what else by the time this is over, because this led to a violent crash there at that intersection. We're going to be, in the meantime, between now and our 4 o'clock newscast, doing the best to find out more about how this happened, why this started, why they were chasing this particular suspect, why he refused to stop, and also trying to find out more about the people involved in that silver, apparently a Cadillac there in the middle of your screen, that was damaged severely when it T-boned that truck in the middle of the intersection. In the meantime, traffic in this part of town is certainly going to be tied up for a while as I try.
But, you know, that one guy, well, let's see, it looks like he might be coming out of the vehicle here, and so that is certainly some good news there. The door is certainly open. It looks like we have arms out, arms up, and this is some good news here. This is the best possible scenario for this guy here, given the fact that he's been engaging with officers this whole time. But there he goes, arms up. He's backing up towards officers here, and it looks like he is about ready to give up at this point here. You know, given the cat and mouse nature of this pursuit, I'm sure officers are going to be using an abundance of caution here, given the fact that you know, he's been so hit and miss here. Is he going to make a run for the Honda and take off again? But now he's kind of prone down on the floor, right in that turn lane, and it looks like pursuit here, a long game of cat and mouse with the LAPD and the CHP. But there you go, a team of officers kind of assembling here, and they will at some point make their approach to him and to the vehicle to clear the vehicle. Again, we don't know if there was anyone else in the vehicle here. To this point, we believe there was only the driver, but that was never confirmed. So hopefully that remains to be the case. But nevertheless, that will be something that the LAPD deals with at the point that they take the driver into custody. They will, again, clear the vehicle here. But the driver, again, proned out on Sherman Way, just a little bit west of Coldwater Canyon here, where he had a spike strip waiting for him. But there's a team of officers, at least, 5 officers right there, and they're going to make their approach to him, guns drawn, just in case. You know, remember, this guy was reported to have a weapon, a handgun at that point, and so, but it looks like, you know, they will be able to successfully take this guy into custody and in a peaceful manner here. A secondary team of officers you see at the back of the Honda Odyssey, and they are looking in the windows to make sure no one's there, looking for weapons, obviously, but at some point they will give the code 4 just to make sure that everyone is safe and everything is cleared from that vehicle here. But there's the driver in custody. Again, this is going to be on Sherman Way, eastbound, just before Coldwater Canyon, where traffic has come to a standstill as the police officers deal with this. But the best possible scenario here, again, the LAPD and the CHP doing a great job in keeping everyone safe. You know, not to mention the fact that these guys were very patient in their tactics and very skillful in conducting their operation here. But they have taken this guy into custody here. They have essentially cleared the vehicle, and over the course of the next several minutes, hopefully they will have this intersection cleared again. Sherman Way eastbound, right at Coldwater Canyon. Eric?
Oh, look at this. He's going to hit the center divider, hits the center divider. This is going to come to an end right here. It's all over. He lost control of the vehicle. Those tires said enough's enough. And now the driver's pinned there against the K-rail, the center divider of the freeway. And his only exit point is going to be out either a window or the passenger side of the vehicle, the car. going to push back in on the doubler here and get a look at what the driver's doing. He's got his hand out the window, windows down. Both hands out the window, his head out the window. He still has a seatbelt on. Again, this is, stand by, Camino de los, near Camino de los Mares. North of Camino de los Mares. Southbound 5, the keys, he just threw out the keys. And now they're ordering the driver to get out of the vehicle. Southbound 5, this is just past Camino Los Rambles. Okay, looks like the driver's moving over to the passenger side. Doors opening. I'm going to push in with the doubler here to get a better look. We're a little bit away from him, but that's okay. He's surrendering. He's got his hands up. No weapons seen here. They're going to check that vehicle. Come out of my doubler and get a better quality there. There you go. Taking his shirt off. Now the CHP can see his waistband to see if there's any weapons in his waistband. He's going to go down to the ground. He's complying completely with officers here. This pursuit ending. Suspect looked like he has some tattoos on his back. Laying down flat as ordered by the CHP in the number 2 lane. Now they're going to make their approach on the vehicle. To clear the vehicle, they're going to take him into custody in this pursuit, ending a very crazy, wild pursuit. Ending very close to the Dana Point area. Look at this, the 5 freeway, southbound 5 shut down completely as they do the felony stop. Awesome, thank you. We're into Santiago. Guns drawn, the officers are going to put together a team to make approach on the car. It looks like they have a canine unit as well. There's the canine unit. Right there, he's going to they're asking the helicopter overhead to see if they have any kind of heat sources inside the suspect vehicle to see if there's any other potential suspects in the vehicle. Okay, they're telling him to get up. Suspect putting his hands behind his back. He's going to walk backwards to the officers. They're going to get him in cuffs, and then they're going to make the approach on the vehicle to check that out. The suspect wanted for a drive-by shooting in Whittier. Airship overhead saying that the back seat looks a little warm in the vehicle. They're able to look with an infrared camera to see if there's anybody else in there. They're saying the back seat looks a little warm. It could be that the car was traveling at such a high rate of speed. Go ahead, Jack. Okay. Copy that. Seal Beach, 405. They're saying that there might be a heat source in the trunk, but again, this car was traveling at a high rate of speed. We're going to move on to another story. Thanks for watching this pursuit. Crazy pursuit ending down in it started in Whittier, ending up in the Dana Point area on the southbound 5.
Live coverage. It looks like now, this end of this police chase, that the front door of the suspect vehicle has opened. We're going to try and zoom in a little bit more. It looks like someone is coming out of the car. We're panned out a little bit now. The police are trying to get this person to surrender and have been for about the past 20 minutes. So this is a big development here. This is the end of a police chase, Carlton and South Acres, school nearby on lockdown, people being asked to stay in their homes. We're going to try and get in a little bit closer. Police do have their guns trained on not only the vehicle, but the person inside, possibly more than one person. We have not seen any movement until this point. But now at 2:13, an hour after this chase started, a person is coming out. Their hands are up. They're stepping out of the vehicle. Windshield wipers are still on. Unclear if anyone else is inside, but that person has their hands up. They are backing away. It looks like they are surrendering to police at this point. It looks like a man that we see there. He is backing up. Police have their guns trained on him, asking him to surrender. This is the end of a police chase. Carlton and South Acres in southeast Houston, very near an elementary school, Woodson Leadership Academy. That school on lockdown at this moment. This could be the end of what was a long chase and a long standoff with police here in southeast Houston. Guns trained on this person. It looks like he's inching back to officers. It appears that he's following their instructions to this point. This has been a very, very long standoff. He is getting on the ground, kneeling on the ground now. Surrendering police. They are moving in now. HPD is moving in to arrest this person. Their guns are still trained on the vehicle. Remember, this car has very, very tinted windows, so we don't know if there's anybody else inside. But this looks like the driver of this vehicle that led police on a very long chase, an erratic chase in southeast Houston, has finally surrendered. He's being frisked down by that officer in the back of that police car. As Sky 2 zooms in, live coverage over the air and on the ground here. We're going to continue to stay with this until this scene is clearly over. At this point, one person came out of the vehicle. That is the driver. He has surrendered. He has been arrested by police, Houston police. Off camera, though, officers are approaching that car to make sure that there's nobody else inside. We could not see if that person was armed. I imagine if he had a weapon on him, officers would have removed it at that point. Officers did frisk him down as they put him back in this police car. That person has been arrested. As we zoom out now and into the car, officers are now searching the vehicle, going through the front doors, the back doors, and the trunk to make sure, A, that nobody else is inside, and B, that they don't find any weapons or illicit material or dangerous material inside of the vehicle. But it appears for now that the immediate danger is over.
Now in the city of Miami. At last check, we got a report that this was 34th and 14th Avenue there in the city of Miami. We are going to keep 7 Skyforce there over this scene. As you can see, this is going at a very high rate of speed on the streets of Miami. It's unclear exactly why they are pursuing this vehicle. The 7 News Desk has several calls into both police in Miami and also the Miami-Dade Police Department to figure out why they're pursuing this vehicle. But no doubt a very tense situation on the streets of Miami at this hour as there is this police pursuit that is underway. This is going north at this hour at 62nd Street and 14th Avenue there in the city of Miami. Residential streets, a very tense situation there as police pursue this vehicle. You can see it's the red vehicle. 7 Skyforce is trained here on this vehicle, and the driver is not stopping, going through red lights into oncoming traffic, it appears at this time. A very dangerous situation. Another update on the area he's at. This is 72nd Street and 17th Avenue in the city of Miami. As you can see, he's going through appears to be a driver, man or woman, going through the intersection there, passing a county bus. A cruiser there hot on his trail, now making a left. Again, this is in the area of 72nd Street and 17th Avenue there in the city of Miami. Going on to residential streets now as this pursuit continues. Again, we don't know why the pursuit is underway, why police are following this driver, male or female. We don't know at this hour, but they are hot on the trail of this person. The 7 News Desk has several calls out to try to figure this one out, but again, this is a red Mercury that police are pursuing in the area of 81st Street now and 18th Avenue. The driver does not stop, and as you can see, there is a cruiser close on his tail, now turning right. That's a City of Miami police officer right behind him, making a right here. This again is in the area of 81st Terrace and 18th Avenue. 7 Skyforce will continue to be on this scene as this man weaves through traffic in the city of Miami trying to elude police. As you can see, another officer just came in there trying to stop him, but he is speeding up, it appears. This again is now at 22nd Avenue northbound in the area of the city of Miami. High rates of speed on these residential and side streets as this man or woman, the driver, passes all vehicles near him. 7 Skyforce is going to continue to train on these on this picture, and as we monitor and what he does next. Again, this is 22nd Avenue and Bird Road, now at 92nd Street and 22nd Avenue in northwest Miami-Dade. Now moving from the city of Miami to northwest Miami-Dade. As you can see, at least 3 units are behind this vehicle at this hour, trying to get him to stop. Hasn't, and this is high rates of speed. There's a school bus on the other side of the road there as this driver, man or woman, blows through red lights, stop signs at a high rate of speed. Again, both the city of Miami and it appears now northwest Miami-Dade police are pursuing this vehicle. Doesn't appear to stop there as he makes a right-hand turn as this chase continues across South Florida. Again, the latest information we have now is 103rd Street going eastbound at 103rd Street in northwest Miami-Dade. So he appears to go eastbound, possibly towards I-95 at this time, but still on these side streets, and 103rd Street is the area he's at right now. High rates of speed, lots of traffic, and we'll see what he does here. Goes through this intersection, doesn't stop, makes a left there, and we'll get an update on what street he's on now. But this continues here on the streets of South Florida at this hour. A high-speed chase across South Florida, northwest Miami-Dade. The latest information, he's at 17th Avenue and 103rd Street now. So this pursuit continues. At least 3 units behind him, both Miami-Dade police as well as the city of Miami, blowing through that intersection right there. Again, this is a red Mercury. We don't know why police are chasing the vehicle at this time. We have those calls in to the 7 News Desk. They're trying to figure that out. Again, the latest information, 17th Avenue and 103rd Street. The front right tire is low on the suspect car. That's the information that the 7 News Desk has just received. Now making a right, blowing through intersections and not stopping. As you can see here, he goes through a highway. He's going through on a high rate of speed. Now he's on 119th Street going eastbound. Eastbound 119th Street in the center lane there. Police hot on his trail. At times when we've done these stories before, police, and going onto the sidewalk there, a police officer then trying to stop in front of him, the driver then getting back into the lanes of traffic. Now going through another intersection there. This is 119th Street going eastbound at this hour. Now he's going into a turn lane. It appears he's going to turn. Didn't make a U-turn there. Trying to make a U-turn. Now going into a parking lot. This seems to be a dead end. And the driver there just crashed there into a wall, it appears. Police officers now out with their guns surrounding this vehicle. The driver is coming out with his hands up. You can see his hands up there. Police have a dog hot there on his trail. They are ordering him to get out of the vehicle. He appears to have gotten back into the vehicle. Now an officer is there, looked to be trapped. Now he's gotten back into the vehicle. He has gotten back into the vehicle. The dogs are now in the vehicle trying to get this man to stop. An officer there was in, it appeared to be danger as this man backed out trying to get away. This is a very, very tense situation. Again, we remind all our viewers, this is live television at this hour. Anything could unfold. This is live pictures. Again, this man appeared to stop. Now he appears to be getting out of the vehicle. We do not know how he is now out of the vehicle. Police, as you can see, have surrounded him They are attempting to put him into custody at this hour. Again, they had a dog there in the vehicle at one point, and that is when the driver appeared to get back in the vehicle and reverse. We don't know if he was injured or shot in any of this, but this man is now in custody. It was definitely a tense situation there. This has ended in the area of northwest Miami-Dade, and the suspect, as you saw there in the live pictures, was backing up and appeared to put officers there in danger. As you can see, there appear to be at least a dozen officers around this man as this chase comes to an end. Again, live pictures from northwest Miami-Dade. We still don't know why police were pursuing this man, but as you can see, they appear to be taking him off now. He's behind the tree there. Again, this started in the area of downtown Miami, has wound its way throughout the South Florida streets. It ended at 119th Street and 11th Avenue in North Miami. As you can see, this man now being put in a police car there. Again, this came to an end a short time ago when he crashed into a wall, then got back into the vehicle, and officers then put a dog there into the vehicle, and they were able to get him into custody. Again, this transpired throughout the streets of South Florida. It has ended at 119th Street and 11th Avenue in North Miami. And you watched it all unfold here on 7 News, and you can see just how many officers are here in this area. You can see plenty of the police officers from several agencies from both the city of Miami and Miami-Dade. Again, it was this red Mercury that police were pursuing from the city of downtown Miami. It ended in North Miami. Again, a short time ago, the man is being either taken to jail at this hour or whether he needs to be checked out after being injured by that dog to the police department there. Again, we don't have a reference why police were pursuing the vehicle, but no doubt a tense situation throughout South Florida here in southwest Miami-Dade. We're going to keep 7 Skyforce there as this situation continues to unfold. Again, this is 119th Street and 11th Avenue in North Miami. We may have some video to show you as this chase ended. If we can cue that up, we'll. Okay, here's the end of the chase. Again, this happened a few minutes ago. This man hits a barricade there. He gets out of the vehicle. You'll be able to see him with his hands there on his in the air, and that is when he gets back in the vehicle. He'll get back in the vehicle as police surround this red Mercury with dogs as well. And here's the incident that put an officer in danger. As the driver backs out, the officer there and the dog have to get out of the way quickly. And there you'll see the dog jump there into the Mercury, and that is when the suspect is taken into custody a short time ago. Again, this ended at 119th Street and 11th Avenue in North Miami. The suspect now is either being taken to the hospital or to jail at this hour. So again, a wild pursuit throughout the streets of South Florida. Plenty of police, both from the city of Miami and Miami-Dade, there on the scene. Following this red Mercury across South Florida, it went from the city of Miami, northwest Miami-Dade, and then ended here in North Miami a short time ago. Again, 119th Street and 11th Avenue in North Miami. The suspect, we are trying to figure out where he is being taken at this time or why police were pursuing him. But the red vehicle there is the one that police were pursuing throughout the streets here in throughout the South Florida streets. You just saw the Miami-Dade police chopper there that was on the scene. And this is from a short time ago. As police were pursuing this vehicle, high rates of speed at time. This man was going through intersections, going at a high rate of speed throughout intersections across South Florida. Police from both Miami and Miami-Dade were hot on his trail. And of course, we have several 7 News reporters going to the end of this situation at 119th Street and 11th Avenue, where this ended. Of course, we will have a full report coming up on 7 News first at 4 throughout the day here. So you'll want to stay with us as we continue, and we're going to send you back to regular programming now. Stay with us for the latest here on 7.
The high-speed chase doesn't end until the man makes a wrong turn and slams into a dumpster. Cops, their guns drawn, surround the red Nissan Altima. The man gets out of the car with his hands up, but when an officer with a canine approaches, he gets back in and puts the car in reverse. An officer on the passenger side with another canine has to move quickly to avoid being sandwiched between the car and the parked Jeep. As the driver backs up, he slams into a Miami-Dade police squad car. Officers then send a canine into the car. A second canine moves in, but latches on and bites the leg of the other police dog.
I just hear the crash.
The chase and takedown happened next to Kanakito Restaurant at Northwest 11th Avenue and 119th Street. Patricia Martinez and her 6-month-old daughter were eating on the outdoor patio.
That guy's crazy. That was dangerous.
Another customer ran.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, we were on the way. I went inside the bathroom because that's a safety place that I think about.
Police say
a situation there on the roadways.
It's almost afternoon, almost the noon hour here. We are in Skyforce HD over a police pursuit here. This is a police vehicle, motorman following, along with a county vehicle, following a red car that's believed to have been involved in a shooting that occurred in Hollandale about 10 minutes ago or so. They put out a description of that vehicle, and it was spotted on I-95 up there in Hallandale. The address they gave me was 916 Northwest 10th Street. A double shooting occurred there in front of a residence, and the vehicle that fled fits this description. The police officers are following now. They've been trying to get the vehicle to stop here on I-95. It is in the HOV lanes. Let me brighten the camera up there a little bit for you as it continues southbound here. That's the extent of the information that we have, is that they are trying to get the vehicle to stop. The Broward Sheriff's Office asked for assistance from the county and from other agencies down here in Miami as the vehicle fled out of their jurisdiction. You can see right now we have a Miami-Dade cruiser there, along with a uniformed police officer on his motorcycle, and the red vehicle in question. Now there's another vehicle there, that Challenger or Charger right there, that's adjacent to the vehicle, trying to get that vehicle to slow down. It does fit the description of the vehicle that they were looking for. There were supposed to be 2 occupants in that vehicle, and now they're paralleling that vehicle. And if you give me 1 second here just to regroup a little bit and get my scanner back up a little bit higher, I can find out exactly. But they are going to follow this vehicle. They are trying to get the vehicle to stop. It is now pulling over, and it's doing the lane change here. Now we have 1 vehicle in front of it and several vehicles behind it. They are trying to get it to stop here. We are at about 62nd Street, a little south of 62nd. I'm looking out my window here. Actually make it about 46th Street, stopping in the middle. We got a bailout. 1 person there being pursued now by the police. They're taking off after him. The other person has stayed in the vehicle. We've got police officers chasing. He jumped over the guardrail here and flipped down off the embankment here. We've got some other officers. It looks like he's been tased or he's hurt himself jumping off that over that ledge right there. Joe, can we slide back just a touch? And we have 1 guy, and he's incapacitated here on the ground just outside of the I-95 expressway. Approximately, we're going to revise our address here. We're going to put it closer to 25th Street or 26th Street and I-95. You see the 2 Miami-Dade police officers there trying to clear the hurdle of the fence. We're going to put our extender in here and zoom in a little bit more. You can see the guy laying on his side right there. It appears to be, as we said, incapacitated. Unknown whether he injured himself jumping over or whether he was tased by the police as they went over. We lost our location there for a second as he's got his hands raised. He's complying with police orders to give himself up. We're going to stay with this shot for a second just to tell you that traffic is ground to a halt on I-95 southbound. This all happening in about the last 10 minutes out of Hallandale. As we said, there was a double shooting occurred at that location. The location I gave you, 996, I'm sorry, Northwest 10th Street in Hallandale, and the vehicle fled the area. The shooters believed to be in that car. They got a description of the vehicle. They boloed it out, which is a be on the lookout for that vehicle. It was spotted on I-95. Broward Sheriff's Office was following, asked for assistance from the county. You saw the takedown live here on WSCN, and that's pretty much what we have for you right now.
All right, Ralph, just to recap then what we've seen in the last couple of minutes, because it has been a lot in a very short amount of time. You say that this started as a double shooting in Hallandale on 996 Northwest 10th Street. Then this police pursuit ensued on I-95. Now, in that vehicle, were there two people or just the one that we saw bail out?
Well, we have another one in handcuffs right here, so we're going to go with two for now. Those are we saw the one person bail out there where they look like now they're going to be processing him and getting him in the back of a police car. You can see the roadway here closed. Actually, we've got a third suspect here. I was going to call them suspects or subjects as they are taken into custody by police. So you've got one being put in the back of car number 19434, and you've got one leaning over the back of car 17268, and then the third person is over here in the tall grass where these other vehicles stopped. Right here, they're standing over the guy right now. We understand that fire rescue has been called to the scene here to render aid in this because there may be an injury to one of these people that fled from the police when that vehicle stopped right in the middle of I-95.
Yeah, and just thinking about how it all ended right there when that vehicle stopped in the middle of 95 with traffic still going. No other vehicles were involved in any type of accident or anything as this came to an end?
Well, you know, we kind of trained the camera off of that activity to follow the person running, but right now, let me just bring the camera back out here and show you. You can see there's traffic that is stopped here. It backs up from about 25th Street here just to before the 112 expressway on the south side of it. So there is traffic there. There are a lot of onlookers now, and police are trying to process this as quickly as possible. Of course, this becomes I guess a part of a crime scene here is they took several subjects in custody right here when they took them out of this red vehicle, including the one that ran over the embankment there, jumped over the embankment and ended up laying on his back here, the guy in the white and the blue. There are two officers now with him in custody, and back to you guys.
And Ralph, we see that there are 3 suspects there in police custody. The other 2, did they stay in the car? They apparently did not try to run?
Well, again, we were following the other activity, so that when the cameras, wherever the camera's trained is where we're looking. We saw the one person jump out. When we swung the camera back over, both of them were in handcuffs, appeared to be complying with police, so they may have decided it was not a good idea to flee there in the middle of I-95 during regular traffic hours there. So they were taken into custody and being processed as we swung the camera back over there.
Ralph, okay, as you stay with us, it has certainly been a busy day in the 7 Newsplex and a busy day for you. It started with that traffic nightmare that we covered earlier today, and now this on I-95. Just to recap, for those of you who might be joining us at this hour, a double shooting on Hallandale Beach at 996 Northwest 10th Street. Then police issue a be on the lookout for an ending to all this on 95 southbound at 26th Street, roughly. And there you see that suspect now in police custody as well. In all, we're talking about 3 people in police custody at this hour. Their role in all of this, the bigger picture, that's still unclear. But we can certainly tell you what a mess.
Just at this point, really just picking up information, trying to get details to be able to report them to you.
All right, Brandon, we appreciate that. Keep gathering details for us on that end. And in the meantime, you're looking at live pictures on your screen. 7 News at noon on the scene of a developing story. Several people in custody at this hour after what started as a shooting ends with a chase, then a bailout. Now 3 people in custody as we continue to sort through the details of all this. 7's Ralph Rayburn was there when it started and is here now to fill us in on more. Ralph?
Well, let's just backtrack and tell you that on our way to the tanker accident, which was going to be our noon live shot, we heard a call and we shared that information with our Broward desk. Our desk heard the same information and then diverted us to head toward I-95, and we did. We could hear the chase coming southbound on the radio through the Golden Glades interchange, and then as it approached 103rd Street, they temporarily lost sight of that red vehicle that we showed you a little bit earlier. Then Broward Sheriff's Office got on the radio and said that they were behind the vehicle and that it was refusing to stop. They requested assistance from an aviation unit from the county. I don't know whether that unit ever launched launched or not. But we were out there, saw the vehicle, the red vehicle as it was described, coming southbound in the HOV lanes at a pretty good clip, a pretty high rate of speed there, not complying with the officer who had the motorman who had his lights and siren on and trying to get the vehicle to pull over. It passed 79th Street and went through, by the 112 in traffic, and then several other Miami-Dade cruisers pulled up, one alongside of it, and then that one was able to get in front of it and force it out of the HOV lanes. It appeared for a moment that they were going to stop, just pull off the side of the road and stop, but it stopped right in the middle of I-95, and the passenger side front door opened, and one of the people inside that vehicle bolted into traffic and was nearly clipped by a vehicle that was passing on the right-hand side there. The police occupants of the vehicles that were pursuing got out of their vehicles and ran after that one suspect, as the other people that appeared to remain in the vehicle, including the driver, they were taken into custody. We saw them in handcuffs. In the meantime, the person that jumped out of the passenger side front seat jumped over the guardrail and over the fence there on the retaining wall and tumbled down, and we could not tell whether because of the trees and the ground covering, we couldn't tell whether or not he was injured from the fall or if he just gave himself up. But he is in police custody now, is being walked by police to a waiting police car here off the side of the roadway, off of I-95 at approximately 23rd or 24th Street on the west side of I-95. As we bring the camera back out here, they've been watching them process. Here on I-95, you can see traffic merging to the HOV lanes, or to the center lanes there. We've got 4 lanes of traffic that are blocked there. The red car remains in the middle of the road, and they're going to be processing. That's our story here at Skyforce HD. I'm Ralph Raven reporting live.
He has actually been close enough a couple of times to make those turns. Hard turn. There you go. Hit a curb. This might be the end. That car was probably not running that well. There you go. Doors are open, and they're just out on the ground. You know, so Century Boulevard is where this thing's coming to an end right now. The driver just, that passenger, rear passenger, just jumping out and hitting the ground right away. LAPD, though, there was something seen in that vehicle earlier on. These guys not going to be playing around this evening. They're basically bunching up, probably yelling commands. One of the guys on the ground, not by injury, basically jumped out of that car and just got on the ground right away. The driver still in that car. Lena, I actually think that guy just got out of there as fast as he could and just drove away. Unless his car got hit, he's got no reason to stay. And with this type of situation, you know, maybe leaving would be better, but we don't know. Maybe that car did touch it. But right now, though, one definitely in custody. The other one right over here, I believe there's another one in front of the car. So we're going to do the count with everybody else, but we got one in custody. Looks like a second one going into custody now, and then a third one right there in front of that LAPD cruiser. So 3 in custody this evening. Thank goodness nobody got hurt, but this pursuit definitely coming to an end out here in the South Los Angeles area. Thank you. Assignment desk, chase is over. I think the license plate says Hamer Toyota. Thank you for that. Thank you. Well, that was a little a quick one there. We were live on KCAL 9 out here in California, if you guys are on the web and not local. But definitely a chase for the books for sure. That driver, that officer that was driving Shop 512, man, that guy, he must have aced his EVO classes, the pursuit intervention stuff. And he was on it that entire time. There's so many times he could have pitted that car, and he obviously there was reasons why he didn't, and they did not pit it, but he was right on it.
with paper crowns.
We lose ourselves in the spirit of things. We lose our sight and we put our trust in things of this material world, of things that fade away. Yet you keep coming back, 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 keep coming back.
Give me the street.
Phones are drawn.
You know the street?
It's Calhoun.
Calhoun.
Oh boy.
All right, and so don't know why he has stopped
He's
right
getting
there.
out.
He's getting out. He stopped kind of almost out of nowhere, and he is giving up. A very hopeful sign here.
All right, Bruce,
so what
walk
they're
us
doing
through
now,
this.
they're doing a felony traffic stop where they'll have the driver get on the pavement, prone him out, handcuff him, or call him back to the vehicle. There they go. They're calling him back, and they'll take him into custody, and then CHP will clear the vehicle.
All right. Well, this is very good news, and hopefully there's no one else inside that vehicle. And, getting back, to that guy we saw a short time ago throwing the object at the car, I think it's just, who am I to say, but in speculation that people they get really frustrated when they watch these pursuits. It angers a lot of people.
For a lot of people. And they may cause accidents, which they don't care, but meanwhile now possibly someone's hurt.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so they are still in the process now of clearing the vehicle. It's dangerous with the tinted glass, isn't it?
Yes, that's something that people do, and you're walking up on a vehicle with tinted windows, especially at night. Your adrenaline starts to flow.
What is it? Can you tell?
I bet it does.
All right. Well, they're checking it, and their body language certainly indicates that they're clear. It's Oregon license plates, too. Yeah.
Code 4.
They might even see them holding up the 4 fingers. It's not quite code 4 yet, and they've opened the rear hatch, checking it.
Out of state, yeah.
And that is that. Oregon license plates on this vehicle. We'll try to find out more about what spawned this whole thing to begin with, but it was first came across as a report of a suspicious person. Bruce, we want to thank you for your input on this, helping us get through this. And
my pleasure, Mark and Michelle, as always.
Thanks,
all right.
Bruce.
Thanks for tuning in and for helping us out. So that is it. The pursuit has ended.
Okay.
Well, this might be it for this car. Here goes the suspects. Oh, back suspect coming out. He put his hands right behind his back. The front one on the ground as well. Here comes the driver, it looks like, in a red jacket. He's out. And boy, did they hit the ground fast. Okay, LAPD, they have 3 out. It looked like the driver came out the passenger side. They're making the driver there in the red. He's the one that came out after the passenger in the front. So we believe that to be the driver that's crawling out. There might be a 4th passenger in the rear. That's what LAPD is not sure about here. They want to make sure they clear that vehicle. 3 of them came out. There's one in front of the squad car there, squad number 512. The driver there crawling out like a worm. And then the passenger, rear passenger, this guy came out first off the driver's side, rear door. And then there's one in front of that squad car. This is Vermont, just before Century. Vermont, just before Century. Now they're making the other guy, the passenger, the front passenger, do the worm to scoot up away from the vehicle. And now officers are going to approach that one passenger on the driver's side, get him into custody. They're going to clear the vehicle. That one officer standing at the back of the vehicle. A driver losing control, deciding, I think, at the last minute to try to make a turn there at a high rate of speed. Lost control, hit a pole, and it looked like that disabled the car. There's one in custody. They're going to move in and get the driver. One officer there clearing the vehicle, and now the other officers are going to make their approach. Car is clear, and now they're going to approach the other one. There's the driver in red. And there he is, the driver in custody, the front passenger being taken into custody, still on the ground. But again, a very dangerous chase. That was high speeds going through in and out of traffic on surface streets from the Noon Division. It started around, I believe it was 58th Street, and working its way down into South LA, all the way down to 112th Street, making its way on to Manchester at one point.
stopping, turning again into the sidewalk, being cornered by one of the cars, the police squad cars, and now again was able to escape the ring. As you could see that they try to form. They were very strategic in the way they try to obviously form a ring around them. Now going back into the main road here, again, this happening in Detroit. We're waiting on word from Sky Fox, our pilot, obviously busy right now piloting the helicopter to figure out exactly which part of town he's in. As this looks like a Wayne County Sheriff's deputy, I think that's what that looks like to me, continues this pursuit of this blue van that is now on a main thoroughfare, heading at a high rate of speed and now merging onto traffic, as you can see.
There do seem to be some issues there with the steering, and now we see the car pulling off to the side. Again, an officer there still behind the car, 2 other cop cars there. They tried to cut him off, but he did go through. Yeah. It looks like, okay.
And there's your
and the driver gets out and begins to run.
This driver is now hopping a fence, trying to get away. The officers have now apprehended the suspect. It appears to be a young man who was running away from the car, now being tackled by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 officers. This could have been a possibility, a kidnapping situation. According to some sources, a kidnapping situation in which there could have been a child involved. That is not confirmed at this time. Right now, as you can imagine, Detroit police, Wayne County Sheriff's deputies, Macomb County Sheriff's deputies are very busy trying to control the situation, as they have just now been able to take down this suspect who for now, at least on television the last 5 minutes, has been weaving in and out of a neighborhood, onto a sidewalk, onto the grass, back onto a road, back onto a main road, thought he got away, and that's when officers were able to essentially T-bone him. And this guy knew at that point it was over for him. He was able to get out.
Still resisting, it seems. Several police officers now carrying this person away.
It's not clear if they were able to take away a weapon from this person, whether or not the person had a weapon. That's unclear right now. The biggest weapon he had was the car that he was driving. A dangerous situation when you have a 4,000-pound vehicle that you're lugging around like that.
Absolutely.
He is now being put in the back of that cruiser right now. Again, this all started, by the way, in Macomb County, ending in Detroit, Michigan State Police, and various other police agencies involved. This is in the Kniff area, we know, in Detroit. And Dequindre. Started in Detroit, went to Macomb County, back at Dequindre and Kniff. That is the end location of where we're looking at this police chase that has ended again with one person in custody right now. We'll
177, just 1050. Apsisukit, dupenkit, nežinau, dabar jis įdėjo, važiuoja link Naujasadžio.